Next topic that we're going to cover should feel like a familiar one for any Excel users out there. We're going to talk about slicers. Now, in Power BI, slicers are just visual filters which affect all other visuals on a report page by default. Now, there are all sorts of different slicer types. They can take many formats depending on the data type, and they include options like lists, dropdowns, tiles, ranges, and more. So to give you some examples, here are some options for categorical and text fields like vertical lists, tile formats, or dropdowns. For date and time fields, you have different options like between, relative dates, before or after. And for numeric ranges, you've got single value selections, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, etc. Now, quick pro tip, Power BI does include some native buttons that are pre-configured to apply or clear all of the slicers on a report page. This can be a great tool if you have more complex reports or a number of different slicers on the same page. So with that, let's jump back into our VentureWorks report and practice adding a slicer that we can use to filter down our map visual. All right, so here we've got that beautiful map that we created in our last demo. And now I'd like to make this a bit more interactive by adding a slicer. And specifically, I'd like users to be able to select a specific continent and have the map update based on that selection. So first things first, let's resize things a bit. I'm going to create some space up near the top. This is where our slicer is going to live. And now in the Insert menu, I can grab the slicer visual right here. And all it's going to take is a single field, which in this case is the continent. So grab that from our territory lookup. This one is also categorized as a geospatial field. And you can see by default, we have that kind of checkbox list view here for our slicer. Now, I definitely want to do a little bit of formatting here. For one, we can get rid of the slicer header or title. And let's jump into our formatting pane. And in the slicer settings options here, this is where you'll see the different types of slicers that are available. This is going to depend on the type of data that you're working with, right? Whether it's text data, categorical, if it's numerical, if it's date, time. For now, these are the options that we have. Either vertical list, which we're looking at here, tile, which looks like this, or drop down, like so. In this case, I want my slicer to kind of look like buttons that a user can press to filter down the map. So for that, a tile option is going to be the best bet. And check it out. As you resize the slicer, you can see that it kind of reorients itself accordingly. So I'd like this kind of horizontal, narrow look. I'm going to drag the visual all the way to the ends here and then kind of shimmy it up a little bit on the canvas to somewhere like right about here. That looks good. Now I want to do some styling here. It looks a little bit sad here just with the white background and the small font. So let's go ahead and update our slicer values right here in the formatting pane. So first things first, let's change the font to a bold Seago UI, and let's bump it up quite a bit to about 14. We've got more space to work with here because we're taking up the full width of the canvas. Change that font color to a darker gray like so, and that looks pretty good. Next up in our border options, these boxes look like they're kind of running into each other. So I want to update the line width of our border to a 3 and make that a white border. And you'll see why in just a second. Because now if we add a background, like a light gray, now we get these kind of boxes with a bit more separation between them. Totally stylistic option here, but this is the type of formatting that I tend to prefer. Now last thing I want to do here is go back up to the slicer settings. And you can see we added the tile option, but we also have selection options as well. So this is where you can change from single select to multi-select, and it's also where we can add a select all option, which in this case I think makes sense. So it's going to add a fourth option for select all or each individual continent. So now moment of truth, if we select any of these fields like Europe, watch how the map automatically resizes and filters down to only the countries in the continent of Europe. Same with North America, Canada and US. Pacific, we'll zoom down to Australia, and select all, we'll kind of zoom back to that global view. So there you have it. Nice, simple way to add some user interactivity using Power BI slicers.